Hello and welcome back to the Second Take Podcast. My name is Calvin Williams. I'm here with my co-host Marco Rogers. Today we have a schedule so packed I'm not even going to bother listing off everything we're about to talk about. So just stay tuned, get ready, because this is going to be a jam-packed episode from a very exciting weekend of college football and even the NFL. Marco, take it away with our championship weekend recap.
Very exciting weekend. We'll start off with a not so exciting game. Michigan takes down Purdue, a game as expected. I thought it was going to be close early on. It was close early on. Purdue actually gave us quite a big fight, up 10-7 at one point in the second quarter, 28-19. They had the ball actually in the Michigan red zone in the third quarter. Like, this game was not a blowout, but Michigan, it just felt like we were in control almost the entire game, even if the scoreboard wasn't necessarily representing that. JJ, he showed a lot of creativity, extended plays for good and for bad. Obviously, got a touchdown to Schoonmaker, a couple of big third down conversions by running around the pocket, but also through that pick, which was not great. Aiden O'Connell had an insane game. Charlie Jones, very nice game. But overall, Michigan just handled this game and back-to-back Big Ten champs.
Phenomenal season so far for Michigan. Hoping they can cap it off with the national championship. Next up, we have number 11 Utah absolutely destroying number 4 USC. This game felt close. It was close. 13 points. 23 points. It was close for most of the game. Don't get me wrong. But a lack of offensive production from USC in the second half is really what got it out of hand. Caleb Williams just couldn't do anything, and they outscored them 30-7 in the second half after being tied at the end of the first. So really tough loss there for USC, knocking them out of the college football playoff. Otherwise, great season, and Caleb Williams is one of the more phenomenal quarterbacks I've seen in a while. Margo?
Yeah, part of the reason for that lack of offensive production was Caleb Williams, apparently, according to Lincoln Riley, pulled his hamstring in the first quarter. Not sure why he wouldn't take him out, but I guess Lincoln Riley can make that excuse. But one thing I would like to say is how soft USC's defense is. They cannot tackle anyone bigger than 6 foot and 180 pounds. They are so soft, lots of explosive skill positions, but nobody that's actually big and muscular. And Utah is just a more physical team. And when USC had to tackle, they simply did not tackle. And that led to lots of big plays for Utah. And USC on offense got shut down due to lack of physicality. USC just too soft of a team. I'm really interested to see how they do in the Big Ten in a very physical conference. But this was very embarrassing for USC, and they cost themselves a playoff spot.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a culture shock for USC joining the Big Ten. Just the change of styles of offenses, the more defensively focused teams. It's going to be very different for USC and UCLA when they come here in 2020. What is it? 2024? 2026?
2024.
2024. Yeah. So that's going to be very interesting. Next up, another upset during championship week. Number 10, Kansas State. Winning a absolute overtime thriller against TCU. TCU get the ball first in overtime, get it all the way down to the goal line, hand it off on a couple bad run plays, and they get stuffed. Then Kansas State runs it a couple times, gets field goal, wins the Big 12 championship. It's a Kansas State team that a lot of people doubted at the start of the season, but behind guys like Deuce Vaughn, who just put the team on their back, this is a very solid Kansas State team. I look forward to how they do in the future. And as for TCU, their ranking didn't change, so it's not like this was terrible for them, but still losing a conference championship does hurt to a certain extent. Margo?
Yeah, at this point, the Big 12 championship is a must-watch. This is now the second year straight that the game has came down to one play that was less than a yard from the end zone. Obviously, last year, Oklahoma State Baylor, that run that got shut down at the outside. But, this was an incredible game. I thought Kansas State would pull away, but Max Duggan, he's just such a fighter. His running ability while being that tired was so impressive, completely carried his team back into this game. I didn't like TCU's defense very much. They weren't really able to have any consistency. Kansas State scored in every quarter and overtime. Um, Will Howard, solid performance for Kansas State. Deuce Vaughn was pretty unstoppable, 130 yards and a touchdown. But yeah, TCU, tough loss. But this was just an incredible game. And I'm looking forward to see TCU play Michigan in the playoff.
Yeah, those are going to be some great games. All right, next up, we have our New Year's Six Bowls announced. We're not going to actually predict these yet, as we have a whole break in between now and the games. So there will be another episode. Should be not next week. Will be 2 weeks from now, Marco, that we'll do the predictions on those.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so around 2 weeks from now, you'll get our predictions on these. But the New Year's Six Bowls were announced. First off, we have number 8 Utah versus number 11 Penn State in the Rose Bowl. I think this is going to be a very interesting game. A clash of two teams that were not at the top of their conference the entire year. Utah pulling away the conference championship at the end. Penn State only 2 losses to top 4 teams. 2 teams are in the college football playoff right now. So I think this is going to be a really interesting game for the college football playoff. Or for the competing of these two conferences. Marco?
The last official Rose Bowl before Rose Bowl becomes part of the 12-team playoff. Definitely a very interesting game. Excited to see what happens. Next up, number 6 Tennessee versus number 7 Clemson in Miami for the Orange Bowl. Definitely should be an interesting game there. Cade Klubnik for Clemson looked good at QB. Joe Milton looked solid for Tennessee when he played. Very interested to see how those two teams play.
Next up we have number 5 Alabama versus number 9 Kansas State. Kansas State coming off that conference championship, obviously. Alabama just missing out on college football playoff after a uncharacteristic 2-loss season. This is going to be a very interesting one. This is the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. Definitely watch out for that one. Marco?
Yeah, I'm interested to see if Bryce Young and Will Anderson will play. If they do, I think Bama's probably going to win that game by a lot. But if they don't, that'll be an interesting game. Next up, number 10 USC versus number 16 Tulane. Definitely the 2 weakest teams in New Year's Six Bowl. USC, a pretty soft team. Tulane, only one Power 5 game. They did beat Kansas State in that game, but still only one Power 5 game. Going to be weird to see a group of 5 team playing against a team like USC.
It'll definitely be an interesting one, though. See where the transfer portal has taken some of these group of 5 teams. And finally, we have our New Year's Six Bowls. First off, we have number 1 Georgia versus number 4 Ohio State in Atlanta for the Peach Bowl. This is going to be interesting. I mean, this is battle of 5 stars versus 5 stars, SEC 5 stars versus Big Ten 5 stars. It's going to come down to, can CJ Stroud be that Heisman? Can he play like a Heisman? And for Georgia, it's going to come down to how good is that defense? Like, is it really as hyped up as it's meant to be? Or is it going to live up to all the hype? We're going to see. This is a high-powered Ohio State offense. They're very talented, but they're going to need better play calling than they had against Michigan to win that game. Marco?
Very interested to see how Ohio State, how their offense holds up against that Georgia talented defense. Going to be an interesting game, especially in Atlanta, home field advantage for Georgia. Next up, Michigan versus TCU in Arizona for the Fiesta Bowl. I think Michigan fans travel well wherever they go. There'll be lots of maize and blue there, but definitely not as close as Atlanta is to Georgia, Arizona to Michigan. But very excited to see that game when it happens, and I just can't wait for this game.
I'm super excited for all these games. You will get more as updates come through over the next couple of weeks. Next up, Marco, you want to give them a little preview of how the transfer portal is going to look in the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, the transfer portal is crazy. I'm guessing Colorado is going to end up with all 5 stars with Deion Sanders there. He's already recruiting a lot of 5 stars, but over 1,000 players are already in the transfer portal after only 1 week. Michigan lost Cade McNamara and Eric All to Iowa, which is tough. But I don't think Michigan's going to lose too many. But, I mean, Bama has like 12 5-star transfers or something. Florida's whole team is pretty much transferring. Texas A&M is all transferring after a disappointing year and all those 5 stars. It's just going to be a crazy year. NIL is going to be flying all over the place. And rosters are going to look so different next year. So very excited to see what happens in the transfer portal.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see starting lineups next year with like 15 guys that just joined the team this year, and they're not even freshmen. These guys are going to be seniors, experienced players, but there will be a lot of faces on your favorite team next year, or a lot of new faces on your favorite team next year. Next up, we're going to do a little recap, just see how we did in our preseason predictions that we did a few weeks back, if you remember those. So I'm going to start it off. My breakout player for the year was Ronnie Bell. This guy, he didn't do as well as Marco's breakout player. I'm definitely going to say that. 56 receptions for 754 yards, average of 13.5, 3 receiving touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. I mean, this is a very solid season. Ronnie Bell led Michigan receiving. Michigan's a college football playoff team. He's definitely taken some strides over the past couple weeks as J.J. McCarthy has progressed. This isn't the season I expected him to have. I honestly expect him to be one of the better ones in college football. But he's still a very solid receiver, and I'm excited for what he's done for Michigan. Marco?
Yeah, solid year for Ronnie Bell. Michigan's got a lot of options, so tough to have a complete breakout year. But my breakout player, Marvin Harrison Jr., probably easily the best wide receiver in college football. Last year was the wide receiver 5, didn't get much playtime until the Rose Bowl where he caught like 4 touchdowns. This year expected to be the wide receiver 2 or 3 behind Jackson Smith-Njigba and maybe Emeka Egbuka. Then Jackson Smith-Njigba goes down. He completely breaks out and has 72 receptions for 1,157 yards. That's an average of 16.1 per play, per catch. And he had 12 touchdowns. Unstoppable all year. Even against Michigan, the game that he lost, still had a touchdown and over 80 yards. And he's coming back next year, maybe the most physically gifted player in all of college football. And I'm just so excited to see him. Well, not that excited to see him, but excited to see what he can do next year. And probably my best prediction of the year.
I would say that would be definitely your best prediction of the year. Next up, our Heisman dark horses that we predicted at the start of the year. We sort of did these together, so they're not individually specific, but I'll start it off. Deuce Vaughn, Kansas State running back. Super, super impressive year. Like, put it simply. I wouldn't call him a Heisman candidate. But 271 carries, 1,425 yards, 8 touchdowns. He was even able to make some strides in the receiving game, even with his smaller stature. Behind Blake Corum, Bijan Robinson, maybe a select 1 or 2 others. He's a top 5 running back in college football. Not Heisman level, but still a very solid running back. So definitely not mad at this pick that we made at the start of the year. Marco?
Yeah, he's also a very good receiving weapon. Pretty much all of Kansas State's offense this year. He was incredible this year, and one of the main reasons why Kansas State went 10-3. Next up, Will Anderson. We thought he was going to be the best defender in college football. He was last year, but he did not have a bad year, but he did not have a good year. 10 sacks, that's 7.5 less than he had last year. 51 tackles, he had 101 last year, so that's 50 less. Had a pick, but I mean, that's just sad when you have 50 less tackles than you did the year before. I believe he had an injury, but not for that long. He just saw a lot more double teams, but when you're that good a player, you should be able to still get through double teams. Your team should scheme you around not getting double teamed, and that's just disappointing for him to only have 10 sacks after 18 sack season and one of the best defenders in college football the year before.
Yeah, like you said, he saw a lot more double teams, but in the NFL, to be a top 10, top 5 DN, you need to be able to get through those double teams. Heck, Aaron Donald gets sacks when he's being triple teamed. So definitely deterred me a little bit this year from wanting to get him top 5 maybe. I still think he'll easily be a top 15 draft pick. Super talented guy, but I agree with you. Very disappointing considering what he did last year. Next up, Bijan Robinson, the Texas running back. Probably, I would put him at number 2 running back in college football behind Blake Corum. Texas, unfortunately, was just not that great this year. They showed spurts of being very good. But this guy is super talented. He'll be very good in the NFL. 258 carries for 1,580 yards, 18 touchdowns. And add on to that, 314 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. Insanely good stat line. Probably the best out of any running back this year, including Blake Corum. I wouldn't say he's better than Blake Corum once again, but phenomenal running back. He'll be, once again, amazing in the NFL. First round draft pick, in my opinion. But just he wasn't able to put the team on his back enough for them to have a great season. Marco?
He's definitely the most talented running back in college football, and that is why he'll be probably a first or early second round pick. Next up, the teams we projected that would have big years. NC State, they had a roller coaster of a year. They were up at some points, very down at some points. But, I mean, they ended up being their rivals, North Carolina, in the end. That was a big game. But honestly, I forgot why we picked them because we've been hating on them all year, saying they're overrated. But I guess in week 1, we thought they had some hope. And their preseason ranking was number 7 and their postseason ranking 23. So not that bad of a drop off.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't really understand where we were going with this. Even ever since week 1, we've been hating on this team. So, definitely an interesting pick from us, not gonna lie. But this next one was probably the most impressive pick we've seen in a while. Kansas State. Our prediction, preseason ranking number 38, postseason ranking number 9, winning the Pac-12. Like we said earlier, Deuce Vaughn put this team on his back. This was a high-powered offense and one of the better Big 12 defenses. This team was able to put it together, play close games against really good teams. They split versus TCU and they won the one that mattered. So a couple tough losses, but this Kansas State team is very good. Winning the Big 12 is not an easy thing to do. So definitely very impressed with our pick here, Marco.
Oh, yeah. We also said the Big 12 was very open this year with Oklahoma on the decline, and Kansas State took full advantage. They could finish as a top 7 team if they are able to beat Bama in the Sugar Bowl. Very excited to see where this team goes down the line.
Yeah, definitely going to be a really interesting team to see in the future, especially with the transfer portal, like we said earlier. Next up, we have our quick NFL recap. Lions getting another win, moving up the leaderboards there. 5-7. Looking really good right now. They're probably going to need to win out except for one game. They'll probably, if they lose one and win the rest, they'll probably still make it due to how weak the NFC is. But if the Lions want to make the playoffs, they're going to have to keep playing like they are right now and somehow get in. And then our other game, Bengals taking down the Chiefs. Yeah, good win for the Bengals. Mahomes did what he could. Kelsey did what he could, but wasn't enough. Bengals getting the win there. Marco?
Oh, yeah. Joe Burrow now 3-0 against the Chiefs with that one in the playoffs, a win last year, and this one right here. Also, Lions still the number 4 pick in this upcoming NFL draft with the Rams being so bad. So they have a chance to maybe have a top 3 pick and possibly a wild card team, which would be just incredible for the Lions. For our NFL predictions, Vikings at Lions, a must-win game for the Lions. Ford Field's going to be jumping up and down. One of their first actually big games with playoff implications at Ford Field for probably over 5 years or 4 years. But very excited to see this game. Rooting for the Lions here. I don't like the Vikings very much. And I think the Lions can get it done, actually. I don't think the Vikings are as good as the record says, even though they did beat the Bills in that game, but that was a pretty crazy game. I think Lions figure out a way to limit Justin Jefferson. They're able to score offensively, and they get a huge upset win and put themselves in the even more playoff talk.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing about this game is Detroit is a 2.5 point favorite. People are really feeling Detroit right now. Everyone's loving it. I mean, it's just great to see a good Detroit sport once again. Not even once again, for like the first time in forever. Last time we had a good sport was the Detroit Tigers, baseball. So this is very exciting for the city. It's just going to be really awesome if they can get a win here. Next up, Eagles at the Giants. Big game here. I mean, this is two teams that are looking towards the playoffs. Eagles 11-1, probably clinch that spot basically. And Giants 7-4. These are two teams that have had very solid years. Giants turned it around with Saquon Barkley finally being healthy. Jalen Hurts has had a phenomenal year. So this is going to be a really interesting one. I'm taking the Eagles. They've just been able to win really close games, and I think they're going to get another one here. Marco?
Yeah, I think the Eagles are going to win this as well. Even though they've already clinched their playoff berth, I think if they win this, they clinch the entire division. Giants looking to fight and stay ahead of the rest of the NFC for getting that 5 or 6 seed for the playoffs. But I'm not even sure if Giants are going to end up in the playoffs. Coming off a tie, Eagles are a very good team, and I don't think the Giants are going to win this game.
Yeah, moving on. A little World Cup action. I told you this was a packed episode. We're going to keep getting through it. So, number 16 USA getting knocked out by the Netherlands. Tough loss for the U.S. I can't say we didn't expect it. I've seen all of the stories and stuff. Seems like we really just got out-coached in this one. We're a young team. We'll come back in 2026, and we're coming for it all. Marco?
Yeah, USA at home, World Cup taking place here in 2026. Definitely going to be exciting with lots of young players this year. They'll be in their prime by then. I think USA can make maybe even a finals run then, but still solid tournament for the US. It'll get out of their group, beat Iran, tie England. Very solid World Cup for the US. Next up, number 22 Morocco stuns number 7 Spain in penalties. I thought Spain, after beating Costa Rica 7-0, I thought they were one of my favorites. I thought they could make even a run at the entire thing, but Morocco comes in, huge dark horse. A lot of people didn't even think they'd make it out of their group after beating Belgium and tying Croatia, and I believe tying Ghana. They were able to advance, and here they are now in the quarterfinal of a World Cup. Just incredible for them, and I'm very excited to see what they do in the quarterfinal.
All right, next up, a very exciting game in the quarterfinals, I think, right? No, this is...
Yeah.
It is?
Quarterfinal.
Yeah, quarterfinals.
Yeah.
We have number 4 France versus number 5 England. This one's coming up. France led by that star Kylian Mbappe. England led by what's his name? Who's the forward?
Harry Kane.
Harry Kane. That's what I was looking for. So this is gonna be a really interesting one. I'm taking France here. No real reason here. I just really like the name Mbappe. So we're gonna go with that one. I don't know much about soccer, so we're going off the names. Marco?
Yeah, I mean, Mbappe is definitely the best player in this entire World Cup, and he probably will be for the next few World Cups. I see France maybe even winning a couple more with Mbappe. I don't know about this one, though. I think England, this is one of their best teams in the past 20 years. A very talented attack with Rashford, Kane, Saka, Sterling, but I do think that France is going to win this game. Their attack is just so talented with Griezmann and Mbappe. Mbappe is too fast for anyone, especially Harry Maguire, probably one of the worst defenders in the world. So I see France winning this 3-2. I think it's going to be high scoring, intense game, maybe a late goal from France to put them on top.
Yeah, that's going to be a really interesting one. And finally, the QB award itself, the Heisman Trophy. Everyone hit their Heisman pose. I hate this trophy. Like, it actually has me mad. Blake Corum not being one of the best college players in college football is actually absurd. He's basically running for 8 yards a carry, and then he gets hurt. He's out for 1 game. And, oh, you shouldn't be Heisman finalist. That is insane. Like, that is actually insane. He is easily one of the best, if not the best player in college football. I'm very frustrated by this. I really think the committee needs to relook their decisions. Marco, can you talk about the finalists? I don't know. Talk about it.
The finalists, Stetson Bennett, Georgia. I mean, they're pretty much giving it to quarterbacks with decent stat lines on playoff caliber teams. And Caleb Williams had an incredible stat line, so he also made it. But I mean, Stetson Bennett, he had 20 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Had a very unimpressive stat line, pretty average, and he makes it just because his team is really, really good. That is just stupid. He's not one of the top 15 players in college football. Maybe you could argue top 20 if you're a Georgia fan, but he just does not deserve to be here. Caleb Williams, he deserves it. He's probably the best player in college football, even though his team is bad, and I do not like his person.
Wait, Marco, can I say something about Caleb Williams?
Yeah.
I mean, that dude is an absolute warrior. Like, I mean, you could see in that Pac-12 championship game, that dude was absolutely hobbled. He was limping up and down the field, leading his team to touchdown drives, and his defense just couldn't do anything for him. Like, this guy was playing hurt, like terribly hurt, and scrambling for first downs and then limping when he got up. And then he threw for a touchdown and, like, limped off the field. Like, I love this guy. I think he's a great quarterback. I hope he does well in the NFL once he gets there. But he's only like a sophomore right now, so plenty of time. This is going to be a really good guy. Really good quarterback. All right, continue, Marco.
Yeah, I also, though, do not like his personality. He puts F whoever the team he's playing on his fingernails and then proceeds to lose by 23. I like what he did in that game. I do not like him, but he definitely deserves to be here. Max Duggan, another guy, he completely deserves to be here. I think he deserves the Heisman. Definitely not the most talented guy on this list, but just has the most grit, has the most heart. I just love him as a player, and he's fun to watch.
He's a dog. I mean, he's a dog.
Yeah.
He literally is. He almost threw up after that one drive to force overtime. Like, he literally scrambled for every single inch of 80 yards that they got on that drive. It was like one of the most insane things I've ever seen.
Yeah, he runs for 20 yards holding, runs for 30 yards holding, then runs for 80-yard touchdown. And he's incredible. CJ Stroud, maybe he deserves to be here. I mean, he feasted on bad defenses. Then when he went up against Michigan, really relied on his receivers in that game and ended up throwing 2 picks when it mattered. I don't think he can win big games. This is going to be his first playoff appearance, and he needed lots of help to get it here. I think Georgia's going to handle him and humble him, but yeah, the stats say he's here. But I think Blake Corum should easily be here for Stetson Bennett, and you could argue that this list is pretty solid.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I agree. CJ Stroud needs to learn how to win big games. But if you just watch the game, the throws he makes are stupid. They're stupid good. I don't even like the guy that much, but they are stupid accurate. He puts his throws on the money. I think he deserves to be here. Stetson Bennett, on the other hand, I agree. That should definitely be Blake Corum's spot. Anything else to say for today, Marco?
Oh, no, not really. I think Max Duggan should win the Heisman. I think Caleb Williams probably will. But definitely going to be interesting to see who ends up winning. And I'm probably not going to watch the ceremony.
Yeah, I don't care that much. Thank you all for listening to the Second Take podcast. It was a really good episode today. We hope you all enjoy. And let's get these bowl games going. Peace.